$6. That's what the place on the corner charges for cold water poured over ground coffee and left in a fridge. Their total cost to make it is about 30 cents. I know because I've been making the same thing on my kitchen counter for 6 months. A jar, ground coffee, and tap water. If that sounds too simple to be true, I thought so too. Let's find out. Here's what nobody at the register explains while they're ringing you up. If you buy one cold brew a day on your way to work, 5 days a week, that's $30. Over a year, that's $1,560 for coffee, not a car payment, not rent. Coffee. My neighbor Dale bought one of those single-serve cold brew machines last year, $79. It had a silicone plunger and a little timer on the lid. Very fancy. It broke in March. He went back to the drive-thru the next morning like nothing happened. That's Dale. He'll spend $80 to avoid learning something that takes 5 minutes. Now, I'm not a coffee snob. I've been drinking the same $8 can of Folgers since the Clinton administration. Black, no sugar. I drink it because it's hot and it's there. But when somebody told me I could make cold brew that tastes better than the $6 cup for 30 cents with no equipment I don't already own, all right, I had to try it. The key thing to understand is that cold brew is not iced coffee. Iced coffee is hot coffee poured over ice. It was brewed with heat, which means the water yanked out everything from the grounds all at once. The smooth stuff, sure, but also the bitter acids that make your stomach tighten up and your face do that thing. Cold brew never touches heat. Cold water works slowly. It pulls out the smooth, sweet, chocolatey flavors and leaves the bitter compounds locked inside the grounds. That's not opinion, that's chemistry. The result is coffee that's 60 to 67% less acidic. People who swear coffee tears up their stomach can usually drink cold brew without a problem. So the coffee shop isn't selling you better coffee, they're selling you the 12 hours you didn't want to wait. That's the whole markup, $6 for patience you didn't have. Here's the mistake that ruins it, and I made it for 3 straight batches before I figured it out. Steeping time. Everybody assumes longer is better. If 12 hours makes good cold brew, then leaving it 2 full days must make something spectacular. It does not. Past about 24 hours, the water finally starts pulling out those bitter compounds it had been politely ignoring. You end up with something over-extracted, woody, almost sour, the exact flavor you were trying to avoid. I left my first batch in for 36 hours because I forgot about it. Got busy in the garage replacing a faucet cartridge, came back, poured a glass, took 1 sip, and dumped the whole jar down the sink. 30 cents down the drain, plus a day and a half of waiting for nothing. 12 to 18 hours. That's the window. Set it up before bed. It's done by morning. Past 24 hours, you're not making a stronger drink. You're making a worse one slowly. The other mistake is the grind. If you use fine grounds, the kind you'd put in a drip machine, the water extracts too much too fast. Same bitter result, just by a different route. You want coarse, think raw sugar or sea salt, not powder. If you're buying pre-ground, ask for French press grind. Most grocery stores with a bean grinder have a coarse setting. It's usually the last one on the dial, and nobody ever uses it. All right, let's make it. I grabbed a $12 bag of medium roast from the grocery store. Whole beans, nothing fancy. I also grabbed a $1 bag of Folgers just to see if cheap coffee matters here. 2 batches, side by side. Same method, same timing, only variable is the beans. Step 1. I ground the whole beans coarse in a $30 blade grinder. 10 short pulses. The grounds looked like coarse sand, felt gritty between my fingers. For the Folgers, it's already ground fine, so I used it as is to see what happens when you break the grind rule. Step 2. 1 cup of grounds into a clean mason jar. 4 cups of cold water on top. That's the ratio. 1 to 4. I stirred it for about 10 seconds until every ground was wet. No dry clumps floating on top. Took the Folgers jar. Same ratio, same stir. Both jars looked like muddy pond water, smelled like a diner at closing time. Step 3. I covered both jars with their lids and left them on the counter. Room temperature, 9:14 p.m. Set a phone alarm for 14 hours, 11:18 a.m. the next day. I'm looking at 2 jars of dark brown water. The whole kitchen smells like a diner at 6 in the morning, the good part of that smell, before the bacon grease and the floor cleaner. Step 4. I poured each jar through a fine mesh strainer into a clean pitcher. That catches the big grounds. Then I ran each one through a second time using a paper coffee filter set inside the strainer. This is the step that separates cold brew from coffee-flavored dirt water. Without the second pass, you get sludge at the bottom of your glass. With it, the liquid comes out clean and almost amber when you hold it up to the window. One thing, don't squeeze the grounds to get the last drops out. I did that on batch 1. Squeezing forces the bitter oils back out and undoes everything the slow steep just did for you. Let it drip. Walk away, wash a dish, come back in 10 minutes. Patience made this drink. Patience finishes it. What I have now is concentrate. Dark, strong. Not meant to be drunk straight unless you want your heart to file a complaint. I poured half a glass of concentrate, topped it with cold water and ice, 1-to-1 ratio, the $12 beans first. I took a sip. It's smooth, genuinely smooth. No acid burn, no bitterness, no aftertaste. There's a chocolate note in there that I've never tasted in my regular drip coffee. 25 years drinking Folgers and I didn't know coffee could taste like this. I don't say this lightly. It's better than the $6 cup. Not the same. Better. Now the Folgers. Same method, same timing. The grind was finer than I wanted, so I expected worse, and it's still good. It's not as clean as the whole bean batch. There's a slight edge to it, a tiny bit of that bitterness creeping in from the fine grind. But if you handed this to someone blind, they'd think you spent $4 on it. Cheap coffee works here. That surprised me more than anything else in this test. Cold brewing hides the harsh edges that make cheap hot coffee taste cheap. It's one of the few times the budget option gets you 90% of the premium result. One more thing I tested. I froze some of the finished cold brew in an ice cube tray. Regular ice cubes water your drink down as they melt. Coffee ice cubes don't. They just make it colder and slightly stronger. Popped 4 frozen cubes into my next glass instead of regular ice. The drink stayed rich all the way to the bottom. The coffee shop would charge you extra for that idea. I got it for the cost of an ice tray. The numbers. A $12 bag of whole beans gives me roughly 32 cups of cold brew concentrate. Diluted 1-to-1, that's 64 servings. That's about 19 cents a cup. Even the Folgers came in at 15 cents. Versus $6 at the shop, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. That's $1,500 a year for something I can make for about $60 total. The savings are $1,440 per year for waiting 12 hours that you spend sleeping anyway. The concentrate keeps in the fridge, sealed, for 2 weeks. No change in flavor. So you make one batch on Sunday, drink it all week, and never stand in a drive-through line again. 2 honest limitations. First, it takes 12 to 18 hours. If you want coffee right now, this won't help you right now. You have to plan 1 day ahead. Second, it's not hot. If you want hot coffee on a cold morning, cold brew isn't the answer. You can heat it up, but at that point, you've just made slow coffee with extra steps. Walter's verdict, 5 wrenches out of 5. This is one of those rare ones where I can't find the catch. It costs 30 cents, it takes 5 minutes of actual work, it tastes better than the $6 version, it's easier on your stomach. And the worst case scenario is you use Folgers and it still comes out good enough to stop buying it. One thing you can do today. Tonight, before bed, dump a cup of coarse coffee into a jar, pour 4 cups of cold water on top, stir it, and cover it. By tomorrow morning, you'll have a week's worth of cold brew for the price of a pack of gum. $1,500 a year. That's what patience saves you. If this saved you a few bucks, you know what to do. What should I test next? Drop it below.